Good morning, everyone. There is something in this room that unites all of us today. We all share a vision for a vibrant and prosperous Newfoundland and Labrador. We are all part of building the future of energy in this province. You may be an operator assessing the exploration potential of our offshore and contributing to our economy with jobs, infrastructure, and training. You may be an offshore worker that is part of a diverse team with a dedication to safety and quality that leads the world. You may be a scientist conducting important research to advance our knowledge and the technologies used in our industry. You may be an engineering student at Memorial, wondering where you will live and work after graduation. Each one of us has a role to play, and that's why Noia exists. Noia looks forward to continuing to support our members as we work together to turn our potential into reality, a long-term sustainable offshore oil and gas industry for the benefit of all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and all Canadians. We've seen a lot of change. Over 40 years, we've seen the price of oil go as high as $146 per barrel to as low as $27. We've come from expenditures offshore Newfoundland and Labrador of $1.2 million in 1977 to over $51.4 billion of cumulative investment to the end of 2015. 40 years ago, there was little known about our potential, but today we know with certainty that the potential of our basins, and it is vast. 2 days ago, you heard Jim Keating of Nalcor Energy provide an overview of our prospectivity and name our next monster, Raleigh. That prospectivity is unmatched throughout the world, with approximately 650 leads in our offshore. And let's not forget, our offshore is 45% larger than Norway's, which has produced tremendous benefits for that country. Those of us in this room know our resource potential. But what about the rest of the province? What about our decision makers? Most people don't have the opportunity to hear from Jim Keating or Richard Wright as often as we do. We ask corporate research associates to help us understand what people know about the oil and gas sector in Newfoundland and Labrador. And here is what we found. 88% of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians support the oil and gas industry. That's truly a significant number. Don Mills, the president of CRA, says with numbers like this, the industry in Newfoundland and Labrador enjoys broad social license across the province based on its track record to date. He also said that's very hard to achieve. Interestingly, survey respondents indicated they were more likely to support the industry when they knew that our light sweet crude is below the global average in greenhouse gas emissions at extraction. 30% lower, in fact. We need to maintain this momentum of support because, as you clearly heard this week from our speakers, there is a potential threat to our industry. CRA data also indicated that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians do not fully understand the economic value of the industry. So we knew that we had to do something to change this. During a recent meeting with Mr. Jim Irving, he told me about the Ship Start Here campaign, a campaign to create a movement around the largest ship procurement contract in the country. We talked about that campaign and the need to build a groundswell. He said you have to win based on merits, but having community support goes a long way. As he spoke, every time I heard the word ships, I thought we could replace that with oil and gas. And from there, a campaign took shape, with many thanks, with thanks to financial and in-kind support from Mr. Irving and his team. We engaged Jupia consultants led by David Campbell, the former chief economist for the province of New Brunswick. We also engaged National Public Relations to help build this campaign. We asked David to run a model based on the target of 650,000 barrels of oil per day as per Advance 2030. We never could have imagined what we discovered. Think forward to 15 years from today. The year is 2033, and for long-term big thinkers like yourselves, 15 years is not that far away. Imagine the potential of 56,000 jobs provided by our industry, up from 23,000 currently. In a province that has a current workforce of about 216,000 workers, that's an increase of more than 25%. Imagine the potential of needing an additional 1,000 restaurant industry employees. Imagine the potential of needing 1,000 more teachers and guidance counselors. Imagine the potential of $3.5 billion in consumer spending. And again, we're talking about just one single year. And one number that really jumped off the page for me from the study was that 158,000 new vehicles would be purchased in the province in that year. Imagine the potential of $6.6 billion in royalties and taxes in 2033 alone. That's nearly our entire provincial budget. Imagine the potential of $4.6 billion in wages that year for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Imagine the potential to accrue over $100 billion in royalties and taxes by 2045. 100 billion is what the study showed, and it in fact showed more than 100 billion. Imagine the potential of stemming the flow of out-migration and people returning home and new people moving to our province. Imagine the potential of $37 billion in new capital expenditures. That is the amount needed to get to the 650,000 barrels a day. That's a lot of projects and a lot of opportunities for our members and for our industry to be a part of. And that's the people in the room here today that could take advantage of that capital expenditure. Imagine the potential to make our provincial debt disappear. And that was just for Newfoundland and Labrador. The benefits don't stop there. They extend right across the country. Imagine the potential for every direct job in Newfoundland and Labrador, 2.3 jobs will be created in the rest of Canada. Imagine the potential of more than $3.5 billion in tax revenues, and again, that's in one single year, just to go to the federal government and the rest of the provinces in Canada. $3.5 billion annually in taxes to the federal government and the other provinces in Canada in 1 year. Imagine the potential of consumer spending of $1.2 billion in the rest of Canada. David Campbell says, this is what economists refer to as a large number problem. And what a great problem to have. But none of this matters if a positive business climate doesn't exist with clarity and certainty. Let's strive for protection and progress, not added process. Let's strive for our potential. In just 15 years, when the kindergarten class of 2018 is 21 years old and nearing the end of their first post-secondary degree, and when my own daughter is 24 and starting out to take on the world, if we get this right, things could be fundamentally different. Think about the Newfoundlanders and Labradorians scattered all across the globe. We all know of family members missing important occasions like birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and school concerts. If given the choice, many of them would choose home. We need to give them that option. The time is now. This has been a constant theme throughout our conference, and I believe it is peerlessly true. If we want those substantial royalties and a share of that $37 billion in CapEx, we need to take action. Our first action is to start a movement to create an understanding of and support for our oil and gas industry. We are launching our campaign and our website today, imaginethepotential.ca. On this website, you can read and share the facts that I just shared with you. You can also write the Prime Minister about our industry. I ask that today you join our movement. Enter your email and sign on as a supporter of our industry. This is the first phase. This is a movement that will continue to grow and evolve. We all have a role to play. You have a role to play. Our industry needs your voice. Gathered in this room are the most influential people of our industry. Tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your MPs, your MHAs. Tell the Prime Minister. Tell them about the tremendous prospectivity and the opportunities that lie ahead for our province and for our country. Tell them to imagine that potential. I was also inspired by Brad Wall. I think we should all be inspired. He said, "Develop your industry for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Develop your industry for me. Develop your industry for all Canadians." Let's develop it for Brad. Let's develop it for every single one of us in this room today. Let's develop it for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. Let's develop it for all Canadians. Our industry is a nation builder. Thank you.